to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. Our industry has had no shortage of shakeups for us, right? From the need to do things virtually to supply chain woes, every one of us everywhere has felt the effects of this current landscape. So I say it's time to take a breath, to rethink your business and rise above. Join me and my Doma studio on January 19th, 2022 for 19H The Reset. Rethink your mindset, rethink your business model, rethink your marketing. I encourage you to take a moment now to plan for the brand new year and to start off right by joining us for this one-day workshop and seminar packed with tons of tools and templates. This isn't going to be the typical recycled advice. You know my Doma studio. They are always breaking the mold. This is new. This is bold. And I would say if you have been profitable this year, like I hope you have, there is no better time to invest because you can write off the day on your taxes if you grab your ticket in 2021. Like me, you should be looking at buying now anything you will be buying anyway, okay? Professional development opportunities like this one, office equipment, computers, phones, any legitimate business expense you know you expect to have in 2022 that you can afford to make now, you should do it. And here's the thing, I'm not a CPA. Yeah. Newsflash, right? You should have a conversation with your CPA, but have it, all right? I am going to open up this event on January 19th, 2022. And together with my Doma studio and the other speakers, we are going to shake things up. Join us by registering at mydomastudio.com/19H LuAnn. Okay, mydomastudio.com/19H LuAnn. And of course, the link will be in the show notes. All right, so despite this COVID world we live in and this boom of business in our industry, we still must always be marketing. And today we talk about what is the value of collaborating with a trade publication as a marketing opportunity. Okay. Today, I'm sitting down with Chelsie Butler, the executive editor of Kitchen and Bath Business, which is the official publication of the National Kitchen and Bath Association and the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, KBIS, right? She is forever brainstorming with various teams to come up with ideas for design professionals like you to better their business. In this episode, Chelsie explains not only the benefits of being featured in trade publications, but also the how and the what to pitching them so that you can get featured. There are some things you will hear today that might surprise you and get you thinking, but I'm glad about that. Let me introduce you to Chelsie Butler. Hi, Chelsie. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I am looking forward to this conversation, Chelsie. It's been about a minute or a year and a half, whichever you want to call it, because I can't decide if the days feel like years or they feel like minutes the last while since we've been going through COVID and the boom of business in COVID. But we had a nice conversation about that. And today we are going to talk a little bit more in depth about you and your publication and the benefits for interior designers in thinking about the trade publications as a legit marketing stream for them. Opportunity, I guess, is more the way to describe it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think more of them should take advantage of what we have to offer.
Yes, definitely. Um, I'm going to sidetrack you though for a second. Before we get to that, I just want to take a minute. Tell us about. I know that my friend Cheryl Clendon was nominated and won the KBB Person of the Year award, which is just such a powerhouse woman, and I just have so much respect for her business acumen. She's a great designer. I saw the spread in the magazine of her work. It's absolutely insane. Tell us a little bit about that KBB Person of the Year. What is it? How do you get it? What tell us about it?
Okay. First of all, yes, she is an amazing designer. She sends me project pictures of her own and other designers all the time. And I can always tell when it's one of her projects. She
Wow.
definitely has a good eye. But in terms of our Person of the Year, we've been doing that for the last 3 years. And it's really, Cheryl was actually nominated by a few people in the industry, but you can also nominate yourself. So it's kind of whatever you feel like doing. You can also ask people to nominate you. And then we base it on different criteria just to get to know the people better, in terms of, do you have a blog? Um, do you have a YouTube page? What awards have you won? What speaking engagements have you been involved in? Volunteer opportunities, things of that nature. And then the editors at KBB and the last couple of years, we've been, working with NKBA to decide on these winners as well. Um, and we kind of look at what they've been doing for the industry in the last year. So all of those great, pieces of criteria are all good to know and everything, but we also want to know like what's made that person stand out in the last year. And Cheryl really, really stood out because she's very into helping small businesses. She thinks that's just such an important thing, owning one herself. And she helped out, a lot of businesses this last year and a half with that PPP program,
Mm-hmm.
during COVID, and just all the ins and outs of even trying to be able to understand that. I think so many people probably didn't take advantage of that because it was so hard to figure out, how to get that money. Um, but that was one of the reasons that we chose her among just her desire for helping out the industry, and then also her desire for mentoring the younger generations coming into the industry as well.
Well, it's so funny because I see that all the time with Cheryl. I'm in her group. I want to say it's small business think big, or think big small business, something like that. It's such a catchy little thing, the
Yeah.
way she does the turn of phrase on it. And she is somebody that really does, she doesn't give one word, one sentence answers. She'll really take the time to come in and share with somebody that is in the group a question, share with them her expertise and her lessons and the things that she's learned with running a business all these years. And I just think about when we applied for the PPP at Window Works, it was brutal enough doing it, my husband and I together, let alone taking on helping other people to do
Yes.
it. It was an amazing thing to see and watch the way that she does really just reach out and help newer business, and you don't have to be newer, just if you don't get it and she knows how to do it, she'll teach it to you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing is, though, as far as the person of the year, we understand that these are Cheryl's traits. But you mentioned, do you have a blog? Do you have a YouTube? What awards do you have? What community service? So it's not just based on the merit of the designs that you do. It sounds like you do need to come to the table with these other criteria in order to be considered.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that just gives us a glimpse into more of, they can tell us about awards that they won 10 years ago. I mean, most of the people who are nominated have been award winners. They've been published in various magazines and things of that nature. But again, it's really, in this day and age, do you have a blog? Are you taking advantage of that kind of not so newish opportunity things like that. Just kind of how active are you on social media? Some of the things that are a little bit more what's going on now versus what may have been going on when they started their careers. And the 7 praiseworthy picks that we had this year pretty much run the gamut of, some people have been in the industry for 20 years, some people a couple of years, some people hugely involved in social media. One of them just is a real expert on TikTok, which I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a definite way to get a more well-rounded picture of what these individuals are doing for the industry. And, obviously it's important if they've won awards for themselves and all that kind of stuff. But this year we really were paying a lot of attention to like kind of how they've given back and things like that.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm sure more will come out as we talk about the benefits of marketing and getting involved in a trade magazine, about those things, about maybe possibly being nominated and earning some of the awards that are connected with you guys. But you feel very strongly that designers working with trade magazines such as yours, and there are others 100%, that it's a benefit to their business. So start us off in this conversation, Chelsie. Tell us lay the groundwork for this for me.
Okay. I just think this is definitely one of those ways in which, design professionals can better their businesses. That's what we publish in our magazine. We are constantly publishing articles on how they can better market themselves, how they can improve their websites, how they can, improve relationships with clients, manage expectations. The interview I had with you was on current conditions in the market, overcoming challenges and things of that nature. So we have a lot of really great content to offer in our magazine in terms of business. We've got projects, we're introducing them to new products and all that kind of stuff. And I just really want us to be seen as a resource they can trust, and to let them know they can work with us. They can always be sending us projects. They can be sending us ideas for articles, making suggestions of content they'd like to see. We have awards programs. We have a new podcast. We have webinar opportunities. We just have a lot of ways for them to engage with us, to better their business and to promote their projects as well.
So tell me, just playing devil's advocate, if I'm an interior designer and I get something published in your magazine, it's trade facing. So tell me, I know I can walk that magazine into my client's house and say, here, look at this, I was in this magazine. But tell me, are there benefits beyond that to be recognized in a trade magazine as opposed to being recognized in, you're in Better Homes and Gardens or whatever, just to pick a magazine?
Well, I guess it kind of depends because, yes, the people featured in this magazine, they can take their magazines to clients' homes if they see something that they like in our magazine and want to share it with clients. We still have that as a trade magazine as well, with all the projects that we're featuring and products. So, they can definitely do that. But I guess in terms of the trade magazine, just really being able to elevate yourself among your peers, I think also, just does a really great number for your business. By reading our magazine or becoming involved with us, you're going to meet other people. We're one of the main magazines, the official publication of KBiz. So all of your peers will get to know you better by reading the magazine at the show. But yeah, I think more so than just clients, you're really, getting information from us in terms of how to, obtain repeat clients. How to do that kind of stuff that, you might not be getting that kind of information from a consumer magazine.
Okay. So what I'm understanding is your magazine is like, it's all a little bit of everything. It's business education, it's product information, it's peer review, it's all of the things. And what you're saying is that, again, whether it's your magazine or other industry magazines, that the principle is that you are when you submit yourself to be in a trade magazine like this, it's not just the end result of being selected, which I'm sure is exciting and, gratifying, but it's the creation of the relationships with the editors, the writers. Is that where you're thinking and going, and is the one of the benefits?
Yeah, definitely. And I'll share with you an example of, something again that Cheryl has done. So she sees other designers work on social media, websites. She's friends with them. She's met them in person, all sorts of various ways that she is actually able to see their work. So case in point, maybe 2 years ago, she sent me a suggestion that, hey, there's this designer out there, Veronica Solomon. Here's a picture of her kitchen. I think it's amazing. I would love for you to be able to feature her in some way. And we absolutely did. We got in touch with Veronica a couple of years ago. We featured her own kitchen and her own bath in her home in our magazine. And she was last year's Person of the Year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, just again, it's kind of like peer review and all that kind of stuff that when you're more well known out there with your industry, you definitely get more coverage in kind of all sorts of ways.
And that is, see, we've had so many conversations on the show, whether we're talking about marketing or we're talking about whatever aspect of our business. It's so, it has become such a strong theme that ultimately the expert, the person that I'm interviewing, like yourself, will really just explain how sometimes the benefit is truly the building of the relationship, because you can trace back so many other benefits that result from the relationship. And that's a perfect example because, Veronica and Cheryl, they both run amazing powerhouse Facebook groups for designers, they're both terrific mentors to interior designers in running and operating their businesses. And to see and hear how one suggested the other, that ripple effect for Veronica in that case was really, to be featured both her own kitchen and bath, then Person of the Year. That's a lot of cred to transfer over to her consumer facing business to put on her website, right?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And I know these two women. I'm sure Veronica has done the favor for Cheryl in one way or another back. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Okay. So what it is there, I don't know. I don't mean to make this sound like a less than, but do you think it's easier or more likely to be considered for a trade magazine than your typical regional retail magazine? I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm not really sure. I think it all kind of revolves around how much you put into, trying to get coverage in whatever magazine. There's a little bit of legwork involved. Obviously, if you don't have someone like Cheryl reaching out for you and
paving the way,
for you, yeah, then there is a little legwork. But we like to think that we make this easy. We definitely want to see the pictures of projects and things like that. We're definitely into hearing if there are any topics. We have experts out there who want to write for us. And I would just say, when we do get those requests, like, here's some pictures of my most recent project. Any information you have on the project is going to be, very helpful for us, because we don't want to just put pictures, projects in the magazine because they have pretty pictures. We want the project to tell us a little bit of a story. So whether that is just like a huge before and after transformation, staying on a tight budget, overcoming structural challenges along the way, working with wellness, sustainable, smart elements, things of that nature. Like we want to, show them the pretty projects and pictures, but we also want them to, maybe come away learning something. So the more information that we can get, from the designers who are sending in this information, the more likely it is that we will be able to feature the project.
I love it. Yes, we've had several discussions over the years with various people that have been editors of magazines, that are specialists in marketing and pitching and so forth. I'll put in the show notes, we've had Amy Fleury on the show, Ashley Hodham Cox on the show, others that have discussed this best practices for pitching. Natalie Norcross, the names are going to continue to come to my head as I keep talking here. But the idea of that what is the hook, right? Like, why this kitchen? Why this bath? It's beautiful, but tell me the story behind it, what you're saying. And it could be that you overcame a budget, you made an incredible transformation. It was literally designed from a sustainable or wellness standpoint. There's different ways. It's just, don't just send me a pretty picture is what you're saying, right, Chelsie?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. And then you mentioned that designers are open to pitching, articles on any of the aspects, it sounds like, that are related to the industry, whether it is on how to master a certain design challenge, but then you also are talking about different types of the business aspects of being an interior designer. And in that regard, are you looking for a designer to pitch an idea, express why they might be the expert to answer the questions, but you're going to interview them and write the article? Or are you saying, no, you got to come with it sort of finished and I'm going to edit it, but you got to come with it finished? How does that work, Chelsie?
So we have various ways that we go about that. Some of the articles in our magazine, we do look for experts to interview. Like right now, I am working on outdoor living. So I kind of found the experts I wanted to talk to about that, just, based on my experience with them in the past. So then I would send questions and I would write that article. Then we also have situations where a designer will say, hey, I'm an expert in wellness. We'd like to be considered for any coverage that you have on that topic. And then if I don't have anything coming right up that, might be a group effort in terms of interviewing a bunch of sources and writing it, I may ask that person if they're interested in coming up with a specific topic and then writing for us. And it's nothing that's way too long or anything like that. And, we work with them to figure out what a good deadline would be and all that good stuff. We try to provide as much information as we can to make it as easy on them as possible. Because, everybody is so busy right now. But it's definitely always welcome when someone wants to write for us. We're just like, wow, that takes it away from me for a little bit, And if there's minimal editing involved, even better.
Right. Well, because there are a lot of interior designers that do have very successful blogs, and they are accustomed to writing, and they understand point of view, and they understand, the challenges of getting an idea across in an interesting way. And so it's, you wouldn't know that you could write the whole article. I think most of us would think, well, they're a magazine, they don't want me to write it. So it's interesting to know that you're open to that, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've worked with a bunch of them, and sometimes the relationship starts out as, oh wow, that was a lot of editing that I wasn't expecting to have to do. And then, after working with that person for several articles, there's minimal editing. It's kind of strange the way that works. And then, sometimes people just get it right from the get-go, that they have that gift of being able to, be so talented in their projects and everything and be able to write, which I'm kind of jealous about. So.
Right? Two superpowers, got in line twice, right?
Yeah, because I don't think I can go to somebody's house and design it. So.
No, yeah, pretty sure I can't either. Especially kitchens and baths. That's like a major challenge, right? That isn't just like putting the pretty on. That's a lot of actual technical knowledge there, right?
Yeah, it's not just buying furniture for the bedroom or, finding a nice comforter or something like that. You have to get into it.
Right, which isn't always so easy to do either, but the other is way more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what else is there about working with trade magazines that you find that maybe designers overlook or underestimate, or just doesn't occur to them to think about it in a certain way?
I guess one thing that kind of always surprises me is that there aren't more designers getting involved in the awards programs.
Hmm.
Um, we used to have project awards. Now we still have the or the product awards, and then we have this person of the year. But I'm surprised that not more people are nominating themselves for the person of the year. And I again think that is just because of time and just, oh my gosh, that is going to take me so long to, get all that information together and everything. And I think if more of them can just sit there and say, okay, I'm dedicating this 1 hour, it probably won't even take that long. I'm going to dedicate this 1 hour to figuring out what I have to find out about myself and nominate myself or ask somebody else to. I think it's probably helpful when designers who want to be more involved in things like this, if they do have a PR firm or a PR rep or something who can kind of help out with these items that have all of this stuff in one place and all the information at their fingertips. But then, outside of our print magazine, we also want people to know that we're constantly posting news and products and projects and everything to our website. So that's another way to get published. And then, again, the awards programs. And then we're doing the podcasts, which, that is just me coming up with funky topics and just kind of thinking, oh yeah, that person would be perfect for this.
Oh.
And so I don't know if people realize that they can just send me an email and say, hey, I know a lot about this particular topic. What do you think if we did that? And I'm open to it. It's not like I have it all scheduled out for not even the rest of the year. So, and things can be put on a back burner too. I'm sure, and you work the same way in that you do a bunch of them. So you have a bunch of them kind of in the hopper waiting. So it's not always a last minute thing, but we have that. And then also for the awards programs, we're looking for expert judges as well. Like for our product awards, we like to get 3 or 4 experts from the industry who obviously deal with kitchen and bath products all the time. And so in that way, they get to come on board. They're an esteemed judge that gets coverage in our magazine. We publish their bios and pictures, and they're able to learn, maybe even learn about new products that they didn't even know were out there. And then webinars, we do have those that we like to, we have sponsors for those, 3 or 4 times a year, hopefully more next year. And we're always looking for good speakers for those as well. So I guess in the same way that it would work if somebody emailed and said, hey, I'm a wellness expert. I'd love to be involved in anything that you might have on tap. And I would save that email if I wasn't working on anything right away. And know like, wow, I can reach out to so-and-so when we have that wellness webinar next month. That would be a perfect fit.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So what I love about this is that we on the show, Chelsie, talk a lot about what is your Fred Burns only, what is your niche, what is the thing that you want to be known for. And what you're saying is that anyone listening that has a particular thing, no matter what it is they can send an email, introduce themselves to you, and say, here are the ways that I might be of help and service to you. I'm happy to do a podcast interview on this topic. I'm happy to write an article for the magazine on this topic. I'm happy to lead a webinar on this topic. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. Okay, so we have when you phrase it like that, you see, now everybody is just like, oh, what could I say that I would be able to contribute on, right? And
right.
The thing is to understand that we say it all the time. As a content creator for, somebody in your position, you are putting a magazine out, you are putting the podcast out, you're putting the webinar out, you are literally probably spending at least 60% of your week looking for people and ideas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
it takes a lot of time.
yes. So
Mhm.
anybody that says, hand up, here I am, and expresses why, that is a win-win. That's an opportunity for the person, and that's one less, research thing that you've got to do. I mean, of course, look, somebody doesn't just get to put their hand up and you're automatically going to say, yes, I understand that. But if they can put together a thoughtful pitch on what it is they'll bring to benefit your audience, then that's the whole point, is you're looking for people, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I love it. And then as far as the awards, the other thing too is I think that most designers, they're familiar with ASID or IDS, in which case you're accustomed to submitting yourself for an award, right? That's sort of like, we get it as an industry that, nobody has your portfolio sitting around. And if you don't put your portfolio in front of somebody for an award, it's not going to happen. But I think Person of the Year might be a little bit more surprising, that you can suggest yourself as Person of the Year. Like, that's not weird, and it's not icky, and it's not any of the things. It's just
Right.
no different than submitting a room that you designed for an IDS award, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because it feels a little different, right? I mean, Person of the Year feels so amazing, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, and and again, what I was saying before, I guess, there are some people out there who are just like, I feel odd nominating myself. Well, then, you know what? Get the information together and give it to a coworker. You know what I mean? Like, have somebody else do it for you.
Right.
But it's just a matter of, and then if we don't get all the information that we need with the people who have nominated themselves, or, the people who have nominated others, we have to do the legwork of reaching back out to those people and saying, hey, is there anything else you can tell us about A, B, and C? That kind of stuff. So I think it is a matter of, being able to sit down and put a little additional legwork into really figuring out how you can answer those questions. But yeah, I mean, there are loopholes. If you're embarrassed to nominate yourself, just find someone else to do it. Get your husband to do it, or your
Right.
partner, or whatever you
Well,
want
I
to
think
do.
what it is once you recognize that it really is no different than submitting a beautiful design you did.
Right.
You're a beautiful person, and you have your accomplishments. So put that up there for an award. It's the same difference, but it's nice to know that it's not weird. Now, question for you: is there certain times of year that this happens? So, like, we know if we're part of these other organizations, typically there is a time of year. So, what is it for the KBB? What is the time of year to submit for awards?
So our product awards for 2022, we've already gone through both of those, both of our competitions, our product awards and Person of the Year, closed out for 2021. The product awards are going to be shown in our September-October issue in 2022, and we usually open that submission process in January. It takes a while for that to kind of catch on, and people always want to wait until the last minute to submit. But that process will start in January and then last pretty much all the way up until, beginning of July or so, that we may close out of it. So there's ample time to, if somebody wants to submit a product. And then we're moving our Person of the Year. That used to be in our September issue. But we're moving it to the end of the year next year for November, December, just because it makes more sense if we're also trying to determine like what accomplishments these people have made, throughout the whole calendar year, that it makes a little more sense for us to put it in our last issue. So then we would probably open that up in maybe like late July.
Okay. Okay. All right. So these are things to, mark on our calendar if we're interested in this. Now, product awards, that means you've designed a product. So that's a very small percentage of our audience. It's not
Right.
right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an unusual category. Is that normally something that maybe Monogram might submit as a product award for something? Is that type of thing, or is it only small makers?
Oh no, anybody is
Okay.
free to enter. And yeah, you're right. In terms of your audience, it would be, designers who are heavily ensconced in designing for other brands and things. Like our first podcast that we did was with Matthew Quinn, and he he designs a lot of products for a lot of different brands. So if he saw that that was open, he could say, hey, 7 brands I work with, why don't you, if you haven't heard about this, please, please look into it. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, and obviously, the without saying, it's products related to kitchen and bath. It's not
Yes.
like okay.
Yeah, I mean, there are some that might be hybrid in terms of one of the winners we had was a sunlight that, or, the skylight in a kitchen.
Oh,
But it doesn't, that, obviously a skylight doesn't have to be in the kitchen, but this particular one was. So,
and they
there
often
may,
are in the kitchens and bathrooms. Actually,
yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
maybe not totally specific to kitchen and bath, but it fits
Okay.
in well enough.
Okay. Sounds good. And so, when somebody is it that they go to the website, Chelsie, and they'll see that when there's a call for submissions, and all the forms and everything are there, and they can just fill them out and send it in. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so we have several marketing pushes too, where, our subscription lists will get emails about this when these programs open. So, instead of them having to depend on, oh, well, I remember to go to that website and, do all that, we are going to be sending out marketing emails for it. We'll populate it on our social media feeds and things like that so that people know. We also usually include a link to it in our signatures around that time. So anybody we're communicating with will be like, oh, those programs are open. We can submit now.
That's perfect. And then the other thing that you mentioned in there was the opportunity to be a judge for the different awards that you're giving out. Is that something, Chelsie, that you are invited to participate after you've built a little relationship with you and your colleagues at the magazine, or is that the same thing? I'm just going to put my hand up. Here's my credentials. I'd love to be a judge.
Yeah, so I have had people do that throughout the years. Just reach out and say, hey, I've learned a lot from seeing the winners and stuff in the past. I would love to be involved in that. And if I don't know the person, then I probably would go to their website first and just kind of see like what's going on,
Yes.
how involved they are and things like that. Maybe if somebody doesn't even have a website, then I kind of wonder like how how are they going to be able to use the platform to have the savvy enough to use the platform to actually do the judging and stuff. So yeah, it wouldn't matter if I didn't know that person well, or maybe even at all. But I probably would do my own little check on the website and just kind of see who they're involved with and affiliations and things like that.
Yes. I mean, I would expect that judging any kind of competition requires a certain level of experience and expertise, right? I mean,
Right.
otherwise you don't value the outcome of the competition. And so I think it goes without saying that you have to have some chops. But I think that the interesting nuance is that I probably would have thought that you would go to the body of experts that you have come in contact with through the magazine over the years, and wouldn't have realized that somebody with some experience and chops could just put their hand up and say, I'd love to participate, consider
Right.
me. So that's interesting and cool too.
And one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that we also have an editorial advisory board. And, that's kind of based on who our readers are in terms of the categories. We have a lot of designers who are on there. We have architects, we have contractors, builders, and then we have showroom personalities as well. So that's kind of how we've put the board together over the years. And that's another opportunity if you want to be a little more involved with KBB and KBiz and all that good stuff. We depend on, 3 or 4 meetings annually with our board. We do one in person at KBiz and then the rest are virtual. But we really depend on those conversations to make sure that we're paying attention to what's going on in the industry, what our readers really want to hear about, just to make us the most credible publication we can be.
Well, that's awesome. That's another opportunity, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. I mean, I think again, to just go back to the relationship thing, is if you have a passion for the industry, you love to connect, you love to mentor, be mentored, share ideas, have your brain expanded. This is just an opportunity to get involved in, the microcosm of your world at KBB and KBIS by extension. It's kind of a little cool, thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, very, very good. Anything that I left off that you should include here? I know I do want to give you the opportunity to tell everybody how they get the magazine and they follow you on social. But before we do that, is there anything else that you can think of? They're like, hey, I didn't get to talk about this, LuAnn.
Yeah, well, I mentioned the editorial advisory board. That was one thing I totally forgot. And I shouldn't have forgotten that because it's so important. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just want people to know that we are accessible. That's the
Mm.
word that I'm looking for. Like, we're not just so important over here. I mean, we're all busy and everything, but we we're available to talk about and any of these possibilities. We're very responsive. It's not the kind of scenario where you're not going to hear back from us within a certain amount of time. And if something like that does happen, we're totally open to having someone say, "Hey, by the way, what did you think about that project?" Or,
Mm.
are you planning to use it? And all this stuff. I will say this one more thing too about submitting. Um, we really like to use things that are professionally shot.
Mm.
Um, and every once in a while, we'll get something from a designer that you can totally tell that it's not professional photography whatsoever. But every once in a blue moon, they're like, I shot it, and I'm kind of a new photographer, and you're like, it's hard for me to have to eventually say, yeah, we can't use that. We can't blow something like that up for an entire page on the magazine and have it look nice. So, um, professional photos is what we're looking for. If that's something that you have, we would work together with a designer if they didn't and they were interested in being covered. But I never like to say, hey, yeah, you're definitely going to be covered, so please go out and get those professional photos. If we're not able to see the professional shots first, we can't really tell whether we'll be able to feature it, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
It
Yeah.
does. And that's a good distinction. I'm glad you thought to bring it up because sometimes with the regional magazines, the consumer facing magazines, and I would say most times with those, you're sending your scouting shots, 2 or 3 scouting shots saying, here's the hook of the story. Here's what the idea is, do you want to do a story on this? And then once that agreement is made, the magazine sends their photographer out. And so what the distinction here is, that's not this. You are not serving a region, you're serving the entire country. And so the agreement and the understanding that the designers listening might have to have is that it's not going to happen unless you've got the professional shots. You're not sending a photographer to every darn state in the world that has a pitch from a designer, right?
Right.
Okay, it's a good thing.
Exactly.
It's a good thing to bring out, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because especially if a designer is accustomed to pitching themselves for regional publications, I know it didn't cross my mind. And I've had this conversation with the editors of regional publications several times over, and it didn't cross my mind like, oh, right, okay, you're not exactly sending a photographer. I'm in Hawaii.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, okay, good point that we, now, along that point, is it the similar criteria for what consumer magazines might usually have, which is that the shots have not appeared in social already, or that's not relevant for what your criteria is?
I would say, I guess it all depends on how we're planning to feature it, because I think it's unrealistic to assume that a really awesome project with a great story behind it hasn't already been somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We don't ever insist that they don't post to social media or to their own websites and things like that. I think it's a little different if it's maybe the cover story and we're going to have it
Mm.
on the cover, and maybe it was so popular on House or something like that that if we use it on the cover, it's going to be like, I saw that 2 months ago.
Right.
Um, but that's mainly for the cover articles and stuff, and for the projects and stuff that we do publish in our magazine. we kind of just ask, have they been published in a competing publication, like, maybe the Better Homes and Gardens or something like that, or, any competing trade publication, just to kind of find out how it was published and how it was treated and everything. But we're less concerned with whether it was celebrated in a regional publication or website, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And it's a nice thing to know as well, because so many designers have said to me, oh my goodness, I've been holding on to these pictures. I haven't put them in my social. It's going on almost 9 or 10 months because I'm waiting for a yes or no from this publication. And, it gets a little crazy, right? You're sort of like, my goodness, that was that was a year ago. Design can change in a minute.
Yeah.
So, okay. So very good. I just think it's a nice conversation, Chelsie. Thank you for, I think, mostly removing some of the stigma surrounding maybe the intimidation of coming. And I love that you said, when I asked you, was there anything final? You said, I want people to know we're accessible. And that's what it sounds like. And I think if you get the KBB magazine in your studio, you might not really think of it as something that, hey, let me just email Chelsie and see what she thinks of this idea, because you feel like it's this big, bold publication and I just don't really have access. But you're saying exactly the opposite. And I hope that some of the designers listening will take advantage of the different ways that you can help them market their business and put their business out in the projects out into the world. Tell us, how does somebody subscribe to your magazine and how do they follow you on social, Chelsie?
Okay, so our website is kbbonline.com, and there's a subscription link. Just have to fill out a couple of different categories, and obviously they completely, get a free subscription if they're a design professional. That's going to be a given. And then also on that page, you can sign up for our various newsletters, where we have an industry watch each week where we kind of round up the main items on our website from that week. We have a new product alert newsletter that goes out each month, so they can, kind of go and subscribe to whatever they want to. And then on Facebook, we're at Kitchen and Bath Business. At Twitter, we're at KBB Connect. And Instagram is KBB_magazine. And then one thing I also left off is that we do have a group on LinkedIn called KBB Designers Network. And we have about 3,700 members on that network. And it's just a matter of opting in. If you're interested in being in that group, you just simply go and ask for permission.
Very cool. I love it. It's been great talking with you, Chelsie. Thanks so much for, really, I think the best thing I can say is encouraging designers to reach out and to start that relationship with you and to start to put themselves out into the public with their projects, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that this has been helpful for sure.
It has been. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
During Chelsea's time with Kitchen and Bath Business, the magazine has won 2 prestigious ASBE Awards and 1 from the Trade Association Business Publications International. Articles of KBB range from before and after transformations to overcoming structural challenges to wellness design. The content doesn't end with the magazine. You can also find the valuable information they provide on their website and on their podcast. What's wonderful is how accessible the publication is. The opportunities to be involved with it really seem kind of seamless and endless, right? The editorial advisory board, awards programs, being on the podcast, participating in a webinar. And did you ever think you could nominate yourself for the KBB Person of the Year, right? So, of course, it would be exciting to be featured in a magazine, but there are other benefits that'll take you places that you might not have thought of before, like the collaboration and the relationship building, right? I'm so glad that Chelsie has shared these ideas with us, aren't you? Now, no matter what you want to promote, your business, an idea, or a design proposal, pitching can be tricky. You have to say, what is the hook? What is the interesting thing about your design, your idea for the article? All right? Why this kitchen or this bath? You always have to tell the editor, the client, the builder, the whoever, what's in it for them. All right. That's something that translates, whether you're talking to an editor, your potential client, a builder, right? One of the things that I really love about Chelsie is that she's very open about this. She's open to having pitches for her podcast. She's open to having conversations about being a judge for the awards program, speakers for her webinars. All right. So you just have to be thoughtful in your pitch. This goes right back to what we talk about on the show all the time. What is your niche? All right. And be clear. Here are the ways I can be of help and service to you and your audience. That's what she needs to know. All right. Now, make sure to check out the show notes for this episode if you're looking for more information on press, how to pitch, how to leverage it. We've listed shows that we've had with Amy Fleury, Cheryl Clendon, and others. Okay, so all in the notes, all right? And before I go, as long as we're talking about KBiz, I want to let you know that I will be at KBiz in February 2022, and I would love to see you there in Orlando. My friend Veronica Miller, this fabulous lady responsible for the Design Hounds, has invited me to give a presentation in the Design Milk and Modanis Lounge on the morning of February 8th. And later that day, she's asked me to moderate a panel that includes rock star lineup of Breegan Jane, who was here on episode 362, Jenna Gadusic, who was here on episode 618, and my friend and co-author in the first Power Talk Friday Experts book, Claire Jefford, who was on this podcast episodes 237, 335, and 485. So if you are planning to go to KBiz, please put me on your dance card. I'd love, 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 love to see you. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're listening in real time anywhere in the world that you might be when this episode airs, I hope you are enjoying a nice rest over the holidays, that you are spending time with family and friends, and that you are recharging your batteries, because soon it will be 2022 and we all have some butt to kick, don't we? Thank you for listening. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.